Hey everyone, how we doing? So we're going to talk a little bit today about strength training, and obviously we're called cricket strength, but sometimes we don't get into talking about the actual strength training aspect as much. So we thought we'd actually dedicate some time to it today to give you some understanding of strength training, particularly in season work. Okay, so let's get going. Now, where does strength training fit in for bowlers? Because, like we said, it's one of the things that it seems every bowler's doing, but should they be doing it? And a lot of the time, the answer is no. But there is a place for strength training. We want strong players. So let's talk about it when and where. So, like I said, we want strong players, but we need to be getting you strong smartly. What we see at the moment is a proliferation of cricket players just being told to get stronger and them doing exactly that, getting stronger, doing loads of strength training, numbers going up strength wise, but we're seeing a massive decrease in pace numbers, in actual outcome numbers, and an increase in injuries. But we want to know, when we can do it, how can we do it? And how do we do it smartly? That's the absolute key here. And how can we do it during the season as well? One of the things we hear so much of is I can't train during the season because it makes me slow or it makes me tired for the games. And if that's the case, then the training is absolutely the wrong thing. Okay, we need to be smart with the training and not just do your bog standard sort of push pull legs and making it sort of hypertrophy based. So the key thing is we do not build on poor foundations. Now, we will die on this hill. Movement is always first. It has to be. If we're not moving well and we're loading onto patterns that are not moving well, we are in trouble. And that's what we see so much because that's what people come to us with. They come to us with 2 or 3 years worth of strength training, but on a body that doesn't function. Pelvis is out of line, rib cage isn't moving, locked down ankles, poor motor control, no stability, and they're just doing strength on strength on strength and hoping it will help, and it doesn't. So movement is first. But when we're in the season, if we've got that movement side down and we're bowling a lot, then we have to try and help the body. We have to protect it because bowling is hard work. What we do is make the bowling a little bit easier by making the body in the action efficient, but it's still putting a hell of a lot of force through the body. 6 times your body weight at back foot, 6 to 8 times your body weight at front foot. A lot of force is going through time after time after time, as well as stood round in the field. It takes its toll. So we have to try and then protect it. And we can use strength training to do this. So like I said, when you're bowling and the plyometric load is high, so if we think every plyometric contact is every time you run, and then it's even higher every time you bowl because, like we said, we've got 6 and 8 times the body weight going through the body. Then every time we're bowling, that plyometric workload is very, very, very high. So when that is high, what we can do is then supplement that with a load more plyometric work in training. That's crazy. So this is where, when that load is high, the strength training comes into its own because we can use it restoratively, okay, to help the body cope and repair and be ready for the next game. So that's key. That's absolutely key. So what's a sign to go for more strength work? If your range of movement is good, but your power is down, that can be a sign. Okay. If the range of movement is bad, then that's where we start, of course, to find out why. But if that's good and that's working well, but our output isn't great, then we need to research. A simple test is your grip test as well. We used to do this every week when I was at Worcester. Part of the CNS testing was to do the grip test. And if we saw a big decrease, we knew there were issues going on and we knew the body was on a downward trend. And then their force production was down. RSI score, where's that? So if we're not producing force, then we've got issues that we need to address. Okay, so we could be doing too much. That is when we can use the strength training because obviously the reason that the strength training doesn't help when we're trying to improve the game situation and your action and efficiency and everything like that is because of the lack of muscle slack involved in your generic strength work. But that actually helps us a little bit, like I said, when the plyometric load is high, that we can use that and not worry about the muscle slack as much because we're getting all that in the game. Okay. So what strength work? Now, it shouldn't be anything that you haven't done before. And here's the issue. Say, you've just gone to the season and then you go to a new gym and some PT has given you a brand new program, which might be, on a Monday, back and buys, on a Wednesday, legs, on a Thursday, shoulders and tries, then you're going to be stiff as hell for the game. And that's the issue when we talk training in season. It's not training, it's poor training. So if we're doing poor training, it's going to have a detrimental effect because again, we talk about, we need to be revising for the same thing as we're going to be tested on. No point revising history if we're going to be tested on French. And that's what's happening if we're doing some sort of training which is completely separate and alien to the active bowling. So we've got to be smart. Then we've got the rep range and sets, how we change that. So it's about manipulating them. So, say in the start of an off season, early November, we might be doing 6 working sets of up to 5, 6 reps with varied rest time. Whereas in the season, we might be doing 3 lots of 3, 4 lots of 2 with 3 minutes in between. So we're getting a good strength dose because if we're doing 2 reps of something, we can do it, at a good weight, but without the residual DOMS effects. We're just getting the strength dose in the body, so we're keeping it at a certain place. Okay. And then the overall load doesn't have to be high. Again, when I was with in the pros, we used to do 3 sessions a week, around about 20 to 25 minutes each session, and that would be our maintenance strength work. Could we get all 3 in the week? And there's plenty of time. There's absolutely loads of time. We have 2 training days, so you could be doing 2 sessions there, and then I'd always like them to have a complete day off. So we'd find 20 minutes in a 4-day game to do another session. And there is always, always, always time. There's plenty of time. So if you're only playing at the weekend, you've got loads of time. Even if you do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you've got Monday completely off and use Friday to do some CNS work. Bang, you're going into the game, you're feeling fine, and we're not chasing our tail. So many times when the body's not working great, what happens is you're firefighting all week to try and get fit again for the weekend. When we get the body right, we can actually use the week to not only peak for the weekend, but to keep improving as well. So what would our so-called big lift be? It could be a trap bar deadlift or a hip thrust. Okay, with the trap bar deadlift, we can not only be using the high bars, but using maybe even a 30 centimeter box each side. So we're taking out any real load from the low back inflection. We're keeping that back straight, so the range of movement isn't as high, but we're still able to elicit a lot of force. And we keep the low reps, high weight, high rest. Like we said, 4 lots of 2, so that we can be crushing the weight. The weight we can be very up close to your 1 rep max, and then we have a lot of rest. You got 3 to 4 minutes. It's fine. Before I've used cluster sets where you have a set of 3, but you do that set of 3 the first one, then you wait 30 seconds, do the second rep, wait 30 seconds, do the third rep. So again, that force production can be high, but we're not having the DOMs. Then after that, we can rest 4 minutes and do that 3 times. If we're doing that, we're keeping the strength gains there. Okay. We can also use blood flow restriction, which helps with DOMs as well. And we can change the rep range there. But blood flow restriction is something that people are using. We were using it a lot in the season. And we see we can help through training again, less DOMs and get into the high threshold motor recruitment. Okay. So then our supplementary lifting. So this is where we're covering deficiencies. We could be doing multi-limb work, cross-chain work, whatever it might be, sub-max. Um, but this is where, again, we get it wrong. If we start doing things like flies, and stuff here, then we're struggling. Hamstring curls, those sorts of things. Want to keep well away from there. let's get the body working. Keep that cross chain working. Sub max, remember, we still don't have to do high reps here, but this is just for whatever you might need individually. Okay. So how could it look? Very, very straightforward here. So your main lift could be a barbell hip thrust where you do 4 lots of 3 or even 4 lots of 2, like we said, with 3 or 4 minutes rest in between. Then you could do a superset of Viper reverse lunges, working that cross chain. Superset with a plank saw, 3 lots of 12. And then we could go on to a superset of a single leg bridge iso hold, 4 lots of 45 seconds, fantastic for the tendons. Superset with half kneeling cable chop. Something like that will be a great session. Cover a bit of lower body, bit of core, cross chain as well. Bang, you could be in and out in 25 minutes. Feel great, know the body's working well. You're good to go. Do that every month or every week, sorry, and you're ticking over beautifully. Okay. So to round it up, we need to keep it simple to keep away from DOMs. We don't want DOMs interfering because it's hard to bowl with DOMs. We need to help the body to support the action. The action's the key here. So everything we're doing now in and around training is to help support the action, not overtake it. Okay, so we need to do what the body needs. Let's be wary of the total load. Okay, so again, you could be bowling 30 overs a week, and then one week, if you're only bowling 10, we'd have to change it. But we want to support the body. That's the key here. But be in mind of everything which is going on. And like I said, if the playing load is high, that's where we're getting the power from because, bowling is one of the highest plyometric things you can do. So we don't need to do that in training. We're getting it from there. But if we have a deload week or a couple of weeks where there's rain involved, then we might need to add a little bit of either medicine ball training or jump in somewhere in there because we then don't want to go from quite a high plyometric contact if we're doing 30 overs a week to very little. The body doesn't like that. So we need to keep it dosed in there. But crucially, movement always first. As long as we're moving well, then this stuff comes in. If we're not able to move well, then we have to sort that out to support the body at the very first stage. Okay, so strength training, when we understand how we need to do it, it's vital, but we need to be very smart with it. Okay.